Happy Tuesday. Let me make sure my head. Today, thankful Thursday. Go ahead and drop those wins or gratitudes in the chat. Go ahead and drop those wins or gratitudes in the chat. It's the start of Q4, y'all. How y'all feeling? Where are those goals at? What are the adjustments you're making? What's going on, Coach Candace? I see you on. T, let's get you wins or gratitudes. Wins or gratitudes. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. What's going down? What's going down in the town? How you feeling?
Oh, everything. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, another day in the land of paradise. Man, I'm so excited for the day. It's
Yeah.
been a it's been a fantastic day and week. Oh man, just so many wins. I just got back from San Francisco with moms for a little bit. So
Nice.
yeah. So hopefully maybe she'll pop on today too.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. My win for this week is gonna be closing on my third property. Closing
I'm
on my
sorry.
third property.
I'm sorry. What did you just say? Your third?
Yeah, one, two, three.
Wow.
One, two, three. Still in my single
Wow.
digits, but I'm working my way up.
You know that is real exciting because I remember first meeting you bedside ministry, of course, and
Yeah,
we always joke about it, right? But it's like
yeah,
getting around the right people and the right environment has a way of really elevating things to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So, what inspired you to get your first property anyway?
um, it was really identifying that real estate would be a vehicle for me to obtain personal and financial freedom. So that's always been one of my goals. I would say for sure within the last 10 years or so, just really being able to do what I want when I want, of course, within some kind of context, but just having the freedom to be able to do that, because time is our most valuable asset. And so being able to spend the time that I do have how I would like to spend it.
100%. 100%. I heard or I read a quote about Warren Buffett. He said, if you don't find a way to find money while you sleep, you will die in your labor. Huh.
Mm,
Anyway,
wow. 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 Yeah, that's now that one hurt right there. Let's see. Coach Candace said, grateful to have made it to Q4 and the opportunity to focus on my goals.
let's go.
Lo-
See, let's
love that.
go.
What's up, Bottle? I see you. I see
Oh,
you,
brother
Court.
Bottle, come on, Bottle, come on, come on.
All right, let's get into it. I know. Let's give the people what they've been looking forward to. Had so many great, videos and insight just leading up to this. So let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. Let's
Let's
get her in
go.
here.
Where's she at? Is she around? Let's
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah, she's in here. She was over here talking about the bedside
Oh,
ministry.
oh,
Let's
oh,
go!
Hey,
oh.
I love
Hello.
it. What's
What's up,
going
Jay?
on?
So great to see you guys.
Likewise,
Ah,
likewise. So good to
we're
see you
grateful to
too.
have you. Grateful to have you. Not,
Grateful to be
oh,
on here.
did I say it right?
You got it right. Thank
Yes.
you.
Let's go. Let's go. Super excited to have you on today. Um, let's go ahead and, just kind of get into your background, as far as like your childhood, where you grew up, and, what that looks like.
Sure. So I grew up in South Korea. I was born and raised there, lived there until 10 years old. Moving up, moving to America, was I didn't even know that I was actually moving here permanently. So that was an adjustment period that was kind of strange for me. And during my journey coming to America, I learned a lot of different things about myself, including like my identity as a lesbian woman.
Hmm.
and then what that looks like, and then just also developing myself as a Christian versus just growing up as Catholic, and what being both Christian and gay looks like. Um, I think another thing that I've been observing as of recently that I'm really grateful for is that um, what it would have been like for me to grow up in Korea in terms of my vision and my dreams versus growing up in America. And while I know that, America isn't perfect and all, I am really grateful for the sacrifices that my parents have made for me to be able to come here so that I can dream bigger. I
Yeah.
don't know if I was in Korea, I don't know if I would have even fathomed something like dreaming to become a motivational speaker and having my own business and things like that. So yeah,
Jig,
I'm just
what
like really
age
grateful for
were
that
you?
experience here.
What age were you when you came to the States?
I was 10 years old.
10. Okay. Okay. And did you come over here connecting with family or first, or did they, how did they introduce you or to make that move?
Um, so my brother was an exchange student for a year in Utah first.
Okay.
And then when he was done with that and came back to Korea, my mom said that he couldn't adjust to life back in Korea. So we were moving to America for that reason. But as I got older, I think that was just my mom's way of distancing herself from my dad. Because divorce is so frowned upon in Korea. So the older I got, the more I understood it that way. Which in recent years, my trip back to Korea kind of confirmed that to be actually true.
Mm.
So when my brother came back to Korea, my mom just sat me down at McDonald's one day and she was like, "We're gonna move to America." But to me, I couldn't fathom what moving to another country looked like. So I thought we were just gonna move for like a year and go back, just like my brother did. So my mom moved first, and then it was my brother, and then it was me. My dad stayed in Korea, and my mom moved. We first lived in Michigan actually, and she came here not knowing anybody. She just learned English on her own, had to go to school on her own to obtain a student visa, to get a job on her own, to get another visa so that my brother and I can stay here. She did a lot. She did everything on her own for us to be able to have a life in America.
That's beautiful. Is she still
Mhm.
over there?
No, she passed away almost 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. 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 Wow. This is interesting because, I think meeting you um, for the first time a couple years ago, it's like you were a fireball, but not just a fireball, but you had a fireball because you were intentionally creating a life for yourself, and we could hear and see the direction by which you were going, but also some of the temporary challenges that you were also having. So we'll get to, you know, founding a vulnerability shortly. So, but so tell us, what are you doing nowadays?
Nowadays, I'm full time speaking. I'm a speaker, I'm a facilitator for a relational intelligence course. I'm a coach for high performing athletes and young professionals, a mentor for college students and the youth. And other than that, I just really love jujitsu. I love choking people out, and I love Muay Thai. I love punching people in the face.
What inspired you to want to actually speak?
BT.
Okay.
So fun fact about me is that back in the day, I used to have a rap career. And when I say rap career, I don't mean like everybody rapping in high school cafeteria, banging on the tables and rapping and freestyling. I mean like I actually had a rap career. I've
Okay.
been like at 17 years old, I was flown out to Vegas because a record label wanted to sign me. So I say that to say that I think
Which
that
record label?
I can't tell you.
Okay. All right. No, no,
Still
that's
got
good.
those
But
NDAs going.
I think that I just had this artistic way of expressing myself through writing and speaking, and always had a mic in my hand. I was on stage. And so once I got to college, I just kind of phased out making music. I was getting too busy with college and studying and things like that. But after college and I got my first full-time job, my first 9 to 5, I used to just sit there in the office and just, that was around the time when ET started his podcast. And
Okay.
so I used to just like sit there and listen to him as I was doing work. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think what I'm doing now is what I'm supposed to be doing. And something about like what he's doing, I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And at the time, you know, the idea of motivational speaking and professional speaking was like Tony Robbins and Toastmasters. And
Hmm.
Toastmasters was always telling you, like, you gotta write a speech and memorize it and then be flawless in delivering it. But I remember one interview that ET did. He was like, I don't memorize nothing. He's like, he doesn't write anything. He just speaks from the heart and he just goes for it. And I was like, that was like my main inspiration, because I really didn't like memorizing things at the time. So I was like, I really looked up to ET a lot. He's the whole reason why I started to want to speak. I remember at the time I committed to speak. So I read this book by Lewis Howes that was around the time when Lewis Howes came out with his book called School of Greatness. And so he came up with the book. I bought the book and I wrote my 2 weeks notice and used it as a bookmark.
Wow.
And I told myself that when
Wow.
I'm done with this book, I'm going to turn in my 2 weeks notice.
Eh,
And while I was reading the book, it said that if you want to chase your dreams, try to do it while you're young, when you don't have responsibilities like having kids. And then in order to make sure that your circle is solid, talk to your friends and see if they support you. So I remember the day I finished the book, I turned in the 2 weeks notice. I went home from work and called up all of my friends one by one. And I said, hey, I'm quitting my job to become a motivational speaker. You in or you out? Like, you down for this or not? And all of my friends, 100% of my friends supported me. 100% of them said, Jiggy, I
Wow.
can't see you doing anything else. If you need a roof over your head, I got you. If you need food on the table, I got you. And for the past 10 plus years, each of them have proven their support to be true. Funny story, last year, 120 Atlanta, Lewis
Yeah.
House was there. I looked him in the eye and told him this story. I got
Wow.
yelled at by Coach Val, like Valari, because she was like, don't fangirl. But I
Yeah.
definitely did, and she yelled at me for it. But it was super worth it. I just thought it was like such a full circle moment to see Lewis House at an Eric Thomas conference. I was like, this is
Hmm.
literally a full circle moment for me. But
I
yeah, I
love
think
it.
I just
Wow.
always knew in me that I had a story to share, and I'm gonna do it by speaking.
That's good. I love that. I love that. So, do you remember, like, was there one specific moment in which you started to increase your self awareness, or that self awareness started to heighten? Because we talk a lot about self awareness on here. Was there one specific moment or a situation, or what did that look like?
Are you talking about self awareness just in general?
Yeah, just in general. Like, did you
Okay.
always have it?
Yeah, for sure. So, no, everything I am today is nothing that I used to be back then. Um, I'm just, there was this one particular course that I took in college that I'm always going to be grateful for. It's the course that taught me about journaling, about meditating, self awareness, emotional intelligence, vulnerability. I had to study Brene Brown when I was taking that
Mm,
course, and that's how I was introduced to vulnerability. But that class taught me nonviolent communication and how to check in with self, how to increase knowledge of my needs and what do needs even look like, and emotional intelligence, what does that look like, and why do I get triggered by certain things. I call it the hippie course because we used to also walk around the campus hugging trees, but and also just like walk around without shoes around campus and stuff. But it definitely taught me what being grounded literally,
Yeah.
quite literally, looks like. So that class was like the 101 introduction to self awareness.
How did you get to the Bronx?
The Bronx?
Yeah, didn't you
Queen?
grow up
You
in the
mean
Bronx?
Queens?
I mean Queens. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I lived in Michigan first when I came to America. I used to live near Detroit and then moved to East Lansing, where ET's from, or ET lives now. And then from there, I moved to Queens because that was the transition period where my mom was able to now have be employed in America. And she was a nurse at the time, and so she just looked for opportunities. And it's funny, it was either the Bronx or Queens, and so we
Okay.
picked Queens and just went to Queens.
Sidebar question. What was your rap name?
I'm not gonna tell you because then you're gonna look it up, and nobody needs to know about my past life.
Wait a
Oh,
minute, we're talking about vulnerability here. Come on.
But vulnerability must be shared with boundaries too.
That's right. That's right. Oh, come
mm,
on. Oh, come on. Come
mm.
on.
That's a
Come
bar.
on. I love that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. You
we
teach
have
it
a
now.
we have a question in the chat from Bottle. He asks, "What are a few practical tips you can share to help people be more self-aware?"
Practical tips to increase self-awareness. I think one of the most evident ones is to pay attention to what kind of arguments that you're having, or wherever there's a moment of emotional triggers. If something frustrates you, or if something saddens you, or angers you, like I look at emotions as a tool. They're indicators. They're not evil. Your anger doesn't mean that you're immature. It just might mean that you have unmet needs and you're frustrated about it. It's either you
Mm,
or your inner child that's like, hey, I don't feel seen. Can you pay attention to me? Because at the end of the day, I always say that needs are like babies that won't stop crying. The needs will continue to scream and scream and scream until that need is perfectly filled. A
wow.
hungry baby is gonna keep crying if you try to change his diapers because it doesn't need his diaper change. It needs to be fed. So what are we
Mm,
doing trying to fill our empty voids with drugs and alcohol or toxic relationships or jobs that don't actually fill us versus looking inwards and actually realizing what our true desires are. And so whether it's arguments, just paying attention to like what frustrates you, what saddens you, what kind of interactions leave you feeling empty versus energized. Paying attention to emotions, I think, is one of the easiest ways to just be like,
increase that.
what is this trying to tell me something? Why? Why am I sad? Why am I angry? Why am I angry about that? Constantly asking, checking questions, I think is most
Now,
practical right now.
now let's pause
Mm,
there for a little bit because Bottle put frustrated by unmet needs. And actually, this is where I was going because I think many times in our routines and systems, we pick up habits that really doesn't add value. We pick up routines that we hit because of frustration, of anxiety or stress that really doesn't add value to what we are looking to accomplish. Now, we always talk about the flight assessment. Based on
mhm.
your flight assessment, where are you? Can you share with us?
I'm a high C, high S,
Okay.
but I will say my I went up.
That was at 120, huh?
When you hang around Eva enough, your eye will go up.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
yeah,
Like it would automatically tune up.
yeah, for sure. Automatic 10 points. Absolutely. So,
As you have it.
yeah, I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say, in relations to knowing your behavior patterns and maybe even some of those possible triggers, how do you incorporate that with the education around emotional intelligence and what it is that you do with speaking about vulnerability?
Ask me that question one more time.
So pretty much is how do you leverage your flight assessment with what it is that you do today?
Okay, so I think that there's a misconception that speakers are extroverts,
Hmm.
and I'm personally not. I'm very selective of who I share my energy with and how much I put into certain spaces. And so if I know that I have a speaking engagement coming up, I do my best to reserve my energy and my interaction throughout the day. I prepare myself mentally and emotionally, basically. Um, I want to engage with as many people as possible because working with people is my greatest purpose and influence. But that does mean that if I interact with people a lot, I have to be on my own. So, for example, this whole weekend I was in New York celebrating my birthday. That's just me shamelessly plugging in that it was my birthday. And then I had to
Hey.
come back home. I had to come back home, but all of yesterday and today I didn't see anybody. I don't, my friend lives right upstairs. She was like, yesterday, she was like, hey, want to come up and have dinner? I was like, is it weird if we just talk on the phone and eat dinner? Because, even though you're right upstairs, because like, I'm not trying to see nobody right now. So that's how I personally navigate it.
And
Well,
how would you say that you've done it before, as far as like before you knew about the assessment and knew that, you're very introverted, you need to recharge by yourself, or that's how you recharge. Like, did you have any challenges not necessarily understanding that that was the way that you're wired?
I think I was aware of what energy I didn't see it as like a disc assessment where it was like, oh, because I'm this way, this is what I need to do. I think that I just personally constantly checked in with my energy a lot because that's what I've been taught since I was in college. And so I
Mm,
think that's what I always did. But I think the challenge before though was I didn't know how to spend time alone even if I had a partner.
no, that's
Like to
good.
me, I would be out and about speaking or being with people or talking to people all the time, being on meetings and things like that. And then now I know I definitely need alone time. I don't care who you are, I don't want to see you. But at the time, my codependency was so bad that I thought, like, oh, God says that when you're together with somebody, you become one. And I was like, I thought maybe spending time with my partner was still me being one, like spending alone time. So I didn't think anything of it. But nowadays, when I look back, I'm like, no, I for sure needed to separate myself completely. Because I used to wonder, like, why am I so cranky towards my partner?
mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah,
needed
that's
alone
what I was
time.
asking. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
so that's the
yep.
only
That's
difference. But I think I've kind of always I've been doing this.
Yeah.
okay. All right. Real quick,
Um,
Terrence asked, what was the name of the class that you took in college?
The class was called Bi-Sci 3 in Penn State University.
And that
It's
was
it's an
just
embodied science
class around
course,
emotional
really labeled.
intelligence. Oh, no.
It was completely incorrectly labeled, but he like couldn't get around naming it anything else. But
okay.
yeah.
Question. You talked about setting a standard and setting boundaries. And a lot of times I believe that we miss or we don't define what our values and principles are, which allows us to overstep it in many forms. How have you defined your standard and your boundaries by which you operate today?
I'm such a high C. Are you asking me what my boundaries are? Is that what
Yeah,
you're asking?
yeah.
Okay. Uh, Boundaries just generally, or in like relationships or work environment?
Um, just boundaries in terms of who comes into your space.
Ooh, okay. I have a whole theory behind this. All right. So I call it the onion theory.
Hmm.
I know that Jamal King on the podcast ended up talking about it. He calls it like something else. He calls it something scientific, but I call it the onion theory. And basically, I know my friends on here right now knows about the onion theory. Okay, so you have the layers of the onion, and then you have the core of the onion, the center of the onion. And the center of the onion is like my goals, my dreams, what my current focus is, my current priorities. And per the layers of the onion, whether it's closest to the center or the farthest away from the center, is based upon my self awareness to make sure how flexible I am and who is where in the layers of the onion. And so, if I believe that the interactions that I'm having with somebody or that person's goals and focuses also are aligned with mine and they are basically worthy of my space and energy, like I deem them to be valuable. I deem them to be energizing. We bounce off ideas from one another. We hold each other accountable, things like that. If we're completely aligned, that person may be the closest to the center of the onion. But if all you want to do is like chit chat or hang out, or once in a while we talk or whatever, whatever, you might be in the outer layers of the onion. And the outer and outer you get, that's when I might one day peel
Ooh.
the onion.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? I might peel that layer of the onion. So again, going back to self-awareness, like it comes down to my needs, and then from my needs, setting my own boundaries. And then from using my self-awareness and boundaries, it's up to me and my responsibility to navigate who stands in which layer of the onion, and how easily accessible I am to the people in the onion or outside of the onion.
That's good. Talk about that ownership.
Come on.
So you're the founder of Vulnerability Dope. What does vulnerability mean to you?
Um, So I will cover what I think people think vulnerability is first. And I think that oftentimes people think vulnerability, people say like vulnerability is weakness. And that's because people think that vulnerability only is about crying or,
Mm-hmm.
being sensitive and things like that. But if you look at the definition of all of these things, first of all, being sensitive simply only means to be more aware of emotions, whether it's from self or other people. That's all it means. It just means that you're sensible, you're like empathetic, that's just the way that you're wired. It doesn't mean it's about what the person does with that level of sensitivity. But being sensitive itself is not a bad thing. It's actually a tool. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to vulnerability, for me, it's not about weakness, it's not about just crying, it's just simply expression of self, as well as just the risk that we take into the unknown. So people think that vulnerability is only about crying and stuff, but actually vulnerability is anything that makes you excited slash nervous. Every time you take risks, it's a vulnerability. Every time you step on stage, it's a vulnerability. Every time you want to invest in a property, but you don't know if the pipes are going to blow up, that's a
Mm.
vulnerability too. I'm not looking at you, Ash, but damn, I'm inspired. Like every time you
Yeah.
make an investment, that's the risk that we all take risks. And therefore, there's no greatness without vulnerability. So
Yeah.
I need people to stop tripping over this whole vulnerability is weakness thing, because you're only holding yourself back from taking as
Mm.
many risks as possible. And courage, you have to choose courage. Fearlessness doesn't mean you don't have fear. It's just you choose courage. You do it anyway, and that's vulnerability.
Yeah. When I look at you, you remind me so much of the fire that Ash used to have. I don't know what happened to it. She,
I know. He's been beating me up all day, Jiggy. I'm not tripping on
Should
him
I leave?
anymore.
Like,
she
It's all
she's had
good.
some she's had some success. She owns several properties now, so she's pretty content with life right now.
she graduated, she's engaged.
You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
man, that's crazy. Y'all wildin'.
Why do you seem to have a love for people to add value where you can? Your energy is always good and positive when I interact with you. What what's your core? Like what inspires you to really help others?
I'm gonna be brutally honest.
Please.
If it was up to me, I don't know if I would be doing this. So that's why when people ask me questions like this, I'm like, it's all God.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you why I want to help people. If it was up to me, I naturally want to say like I don't like people. You see me driving in the streets, I don't like people. But I could easily say, like everything I am today is everything I needed when I was growing up.
Mm,
My voice, my message is everything I needed to hear when I was a kid.
that's good.
Every time I had depressive episodes, whenever I had anxiety attacks, whenever I had suicidal thoughts, like whenever I had nobody, I everything I am today is everything I needed then. So I
Mm,
could say that, yeah, everything I'm doing now is actually for my inner child, is for young Jiggy and all the youth out there, plus anybody grieving out there, like anybody who doesn't seem to have hope but want to hold on. Like I'm doing it for all those people. But at the end of the day, the reason why I do it all, and like the reason why that reason exists in the first place, it's God. This is my purpose. I know it's my calling. He put it in my heart. I have no other choice. I tried having other jobs and I hated all of them. I kept coming back to wanting to speak and help people. So that's how I know that is my purpose.
That's good. That's
mm,
good. That's
that
really
is
good.
good. That is. We have some questions in the chat. Let's see. Top asks, what are some key points to improve emotional intelligence? Maybe if you have one thing around that.
Well, you might hate this answer, but I'm gonna say to be emotional.
Mm,
Like being emotional again doesn't mean like crying all the time. And I keep saying crying because a lot of people downplay
that
crying, but
stigma.
crying actually is scientifically, psychologically so healthy. But it's again what you do with your emotions. It's about what you do with the tears. It's not just like I'm not telling y'all to just like cry all day and do nothing about it. That's not what I'm saying. Like maybe have a therapist too. I don't know. But what I mean by be emotional is to just welcome your emotions, experience those emotions. Because again, if you do not, and to be emotional, your body's trying to tell you something, your brain's trying to tell you something. If you ignore that and fight against it, it's gonna come back. Like I said, it's a baby. A need is a baby. Like it's gonna keep coming. It's gonna keep crying. It's gonna keep screaming. It's gonna keep you up at night. And then you're gonna lose sleep over it, and it's only gonna get worse and worse and worse. There's a lot of people out there who ignore their emotions so much so that it transpires into drug abuse and alcohol abuse and even suicidal attempts. Like all of these things don't come out of just nowhere. It literally builds up over time. It doesn't come from just out of nowhere. That's not true. And
Yeah.
so that's why self-awareness is important, because the self has to have the awareness to know that everybody else can't know. If we seem fine on the outside but we're having pain on the inside. But then to increase emotional intelligence, to ask yourself, like, again, going back to why do I feel the way that I feel? If I'm triggered, like why and it will always also go back to possibly childhood. Like if there's an unmet need, it might have something to do with your parents. I'm sorry, but it might. And like maybe your parents didn't give you enough hugs when you were growing up. Maybe you didn't get enough affirmations growing up. You know, it has so much to do with childhood too. And it's just literally about what you do with the emotions. So like literally, if you want to cry, I invite you to cry. And then once it's released and once you feel better, and just be like, okay, what was that about? And just start
Yeah.
asking those questions.
Well, what's funny is I was in San Francisco at a friend's business, and he and I was just talking, and all of a sudden he just started bawling, like bawling on me. But he is a emotional type of person, and so the only thing I would add to that is that you and I, and we are brutally honest with ourselves so that we can reach the core of our vulnerability, those blind spots, those triggers, those things that really needs to be uncovered so we can discover ourselves and our purpose to be the very best version of us. So I love that. Thank you, Jig, on that. Thank you very much on that.
I see a comment right here, so I want to suggest a book that everybody should read. It's called Adult Children of Emotionally Unintelligent Parents, or something like that. And whether you had great relationships with your parents or not, I still recommend the book to literally everybody, because it talks so much about needs and boundaries. So it's actually beneficial for literally everybody.
I love that. Jig, you have a lot of stuff that you're selling too, right? You have been selling shirts and all of the apparel that goes with the company. Where can people pick that up?
They're all sold out right now, but I guess I'll announce it as the first time today that the next release is looking like November.
Okay.
Let's go.
You know, I've
First
been grieving
time.
all year long, and all of my goals had to be delayed, but I still got my eyes on the prize. I want to finish everything I said I would in Q4. So there's more than apparel coming in Q4. Um, just know that. Just know that.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. You heard it first on here. EC
Yeah,
release.
let's go. Bottle asks, is vulnerability is dope a brand or actual business or both?
It is. It is both and all. It is everything.
Okay, good. So what does life look like for Jiggy 10 years from now?
On top of the world. doing
That's tough.
everything. I'm sure I'll be doing what I'm doing now, but at the level that I envision in my mind. I just turned 30, and I said in my birthday toast, like, I have this very strong feeling in my heart that all of my dreams are about to come true in my 30s. Um, and once at 120 Chicago, Tabitha Brown said something that really resonated with me. She said, I don't think I've made it yet. I think that I'm only getting started. And you know what? I don't think that I would know that I made it until I'm no longer here. Because
Mm,
that's when God will let me know that I've done my job well and that my job is
Ooh.
finished.
that's
And that
good.
Wow.
really resonated with me a lot. And I'm just like, I don't think, as entrepreneurs, like, we have all these dreams, and we're never gonna we're okay, let's be honest, we're never gonna get to the finish line, because once we get to the finish line, we're gonna say, oh, what's the next thing?
Mm-hmm.
So I really love what she said, that like it's truly at the heart and core and alignment with why we do what we do. And the final destination and the finish line is truly not until we're done here.
Mhm.
So
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Jake, you are such an inspiration. We've always talk about you, and that's a good sign. Is not when people talk about you when you're here, but when you are not around is when, is where the real sign is. So it's fantastic to have you here. Um, Continue to move and scale up as as much as you have. I mean, we've watched you, so it's a blessing to really
Yeah.
see you and evolve. And I mean, you're just a shining light on a high
Yeah.
level. So
You know what? Let me tell you. I remember because T always talks about me in the bed, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and come for you, Jiggy. When on the accountability call when you return to BU, when one of your first goals and intentions being to was it to get your license plate, your California,
oh yeah,
something
my
about
California
California
license,
driving.
yeah, license
Yeah,
plate, yeah.
yeah, so just, to be able to see just where, that initial kind of focus and entrance back into the community started, and, now you're certified, ETA certified game changer speaker, and, just so many different phenomenal things that allow you to share your gift with the world and, do what God has called you to do.
Yeah, thank you. At 120 Chicago, I went to the VU like little meetup dinner that they had, and I thanked everybody in person, because I mean, like, Queen Anne from across the pond was there too, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is my first time seeing everybody in person, and I just wanted to thank you guys in person. Like, you've literally watched me grow. And I'm really honored to be asked to be here today, because like you, T Ash, like when you used to host the calls and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's only been 2 years, and I've grown so much. And yeah, I started from the whole California license plate thing, and I remember being scared of the $300. But then I remember also, uh, what? Oh my God, his name's uh escaping me. Pickleball. Gibbs.
Gizmo.
Yeah,
yes,
he sent me $100 to hold me accountable,
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
that done. And then from there, I just like started my business, started my bank account, started working with Eva, and then started Game Changers. And I said all quarter long, I'm gonna graduate on top of the class. I told you guys that every day, and I did. I
Yeah.
did. And yeah, through
You won
BU
an
and just like
award
investing
too.
in one community has just blow me the freak up. And like I really just stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, I believe in community so much, and BU, I just like owe you guys so much. So thank you for believing in me and having me on today.
no doubt. Hey, we
Absolutely.
always talk about the flight assessment. We always talk about routines and systems that support our mission and mantra in life. Do you have a mantra?
I have a mantra. It's really long.
I,
So I say it to myself in the morning.
I that's okay. Share with us a little bit of it.
It's on the phone. But one thing that I will say is that I added this to my mantra when I was coming back from Korea this year. I learned from this trip after my dad passed away also is that like I really am the product of my parents' DNA. So I always
Mm.
wondered, like I always knew I get my work ethic and perseverance from my mom, but I always wondered like where do I get this interest for psychology and self-compassion and grace
Come
come
on.
from? And when my dad passed away and I went to Korea and I was cleaning out his apartment and he had this book out and it was Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And,
Oh,
you
I
know,
just
I
read
have that
that.
book too. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, all this time we were reading the same book and I had no idea.
Wow.
So I really am the product of my parents. So something that I added to my mantra is that I am the daughter of my parents. And as I do my thing, you know, speaking, it's actually me continuing their legacy because I literally am the product of both of them. So
That's
by
good.
me continuing to do what I do is literally continuing their legacy.
Mm,
So I hold myself accountable to do what I gotta do every day.
that's so good.
A part of my
That's
mantra also at the end is I am a winner and I win every day. So
Come
let's
on.
go.
Come on.
Let's
Come on.
go.
Come on.
Let's go. I love that. So how can the people reach out to you or connect with you, get some info on when the shirts are dropping? What's the best way to do that?
you can visit my beautiful new website at www.jiggyyoon.com. And then I think Instagram is the best next best thing, Jiggy underscore Yoon.
I love it. I love it. Guys, if you're listening in for the first time or second time, third time, and you have not taken your flight assessment in some form or fashion, if it's been more than 12 months, you definitely need to retake it. But reach out to Coach Ash or myself. We'll be happy to connect you to make sure that you're getting the information that Jiggy has utilized, amplified in many forms and fashion. Jig, I have one quick question. How did you come up? How did you get the nickname Jig?
Oh my gosh. People ask me that all the time. So back in the day, I got so tired of people saying my name wrong, which nowadays I embrace, but back then it was really annoying. I remember just like looking for a nickname or something. I wanted like a solution to that.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, I joined the dance crew. I don't know how Jiggy came about, but I don't know. I guess it just like stuck one day. I don't know why Jiggy. I don't know why like it has anything to do with Will Smith, but it
I
just kind
think
of happened. So it happened like my freshman year of college.
I would have loved to hear you spit some game. They used to call me Disco T, so I used to. So I probably would have been like your DJ or something. Who, before we let you go, since you need to tell us the rap name, who's the closest style
What's the
that you
closest
were? Yeah, rap style.
style? This person is not my top favorite rapper, but style, I would say Common.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay.
Conscious
Come
rapper.
on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Come
Common
on.
sense, you know?
No, no, I can
uh,
get it. I
she
can
was
dig
spitting
it.
that fire, huh? Trying to educate the people. Okay.
Life and poetry, you know?
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right, Coach Ash,
Uh,
turn this out.
yeah, it's been a honor to have you, Jiggy. Super grateful for the time that we were able to spend together in Chicago at 120, and just looking forward to everything that you have coming up. I am a huge fan. You
Me
also have
too.
a podcast. Make sure you guys check out her podcast. If you go to her IG, I'm sure you can find the link on there and some clips. But yeah, any way that we can support you, myself or T, definitely let us know. And we're just excited to see you continue to take off and do amazing things.
Come
Thank
on,
you, thank you.
Jen, come
I
on,
want to be invited back. That's
come
it.
on. Of course.
There it is. There it is. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you all so much for tuning in and rocking with us every Thursday, 5 p.m. PST. Make sure you turn on your notifications and check us out on a weekly basis. And we will see you next week.
Woo!
See you next week.
See you, Jig.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Absolutely.